It's hard to put into words. I just think he's guilty. I thought it was obvious from the word go. I mean, nobody proved otherwise.
Nobody has to prove otherwise. The burden of proof's on the prosecution. The defendant doesn't even have to open his mouth. That's in the Constitution.
12 Angry Men is often regarded as one of the greatest films ever made. And I'm inclined to agree with that sentiment. A spectacular yet small-scale and intimate courtroom drama, this film is an undisputed classic of American cinema. And not that it really matters, but it's one of my personal favorites as well. Honestly, I'm a little nervous about making this video because I don't think that I can do this movie justice. But I decided to make this video anyway, because I believe this film is important. 12 Angry Men needs to be discussed, because it teaches us the significance of exactly that, discussion. You know, the thing people used to do in the past but are now electing to criticize, judge, patronize, yell, curse, and shun instead. The thing that used to bring people together instead of tear them apart. The thing the world sorely needs right now and yet it sorely lacks. That thing. Anyway, that's what makes this film important. What makes it mandatory is that it's a supremely crafted masterpiece. Before I begin, please leave a like and a comment, subscribe to my channel, and share this video. I currently have 90 subscribers. Please help me reach 100. That would be incredible. I really appreciate it. The film is about 12 jurors in a first-degree murder case of a young 18-year-old who is charged with stabbing his father to death with a knife. If the defendant is found to be guilty, he'll most certainly be given the death penalty. The decision needs to be unanimous. All 12 men have to agree on the outcome. On the surface, the case seems open and shut, and every single juror initially votes to convict. Save for one.
Boy, oh boy, there's always one.
A lone juror, juror number 8, played by Henry Fonda, stands alone against his peers and votes in favor of acquittal. What follows is a riveting, thought-provoking, and sometimes even tense hour and a half, in which juror number 8, slowly but surely, through some of the most fascinating conversations ever put to film, convinces the jury, one by one, to join his side. Everything about 12 Angry Men can be summed up by the following description. Simple, genius. The film takes place in a single location. The story is told in real time, and it's filled with almost nothing but dialogue. Basically, the entire film is just 12 people sitting in a room and talking for 90 minutes. That's it. But of course, there's way more to this film than meets the eye. Sidney Lumet, in his feature film directorial debut no less, took what is hands down one of the tightest scripts ever written and injected it with a heavy dose of cinematic brilliance. The first shot of the jurors entering the room is a masterpiece all by itself. It's a nearly 7-minute long, uninterrupted take that perfectly sets up the rest of the film. Right off the bat, juror number 8 is shown to be distant from the rest of the jury.
Fish gum?
Oh, thanks.
We see the characters interacting with their environment and receive our first bits of information that will be relevant later.
I called the weather bureau this morning. This is going to be the hottest day of the year.
The jurors are introduced one by one, and we get to experience their unique personalities for the first time.
What's that for?
Oh, I thought we might want to vote by ballot.
Great idea. Maybe we can get him elected senator.
We already get our first glimpses of juror number 3 and his personal prejudice. He'll go on to serve as the main foil for juror number 8.
If you ask me, I'd slap those tough kids down before they start any trouble.
Also, the shot further develops the lack of any meaningful interest the majority of the jurors have towards this trial.
I tell you, we were lucky to get a murder case. I figured us for an assault or burglary. Boy, they can be the dullest.
All of that and so much more, including the first few bits of information about the murder case itself, are given to us through this wonderful long take, filled with fantastic blocking, incredible direction, and camera movements that make small talk feel cinematic. Just amazing.
Gentlemen at the window. We'd like to get started.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The film has some of the best dialogue ever written. The conversations between the jurors are so compelling, it's hard to describe. Not only that, but the conversations in the film also turn pretty quickly into heated arguments, which is where the film really shines.
I don't understand you people. I mean, all these picky little points you keep bringing up, they don't mean nothing.
The characters don't hold anything back. It's some of the most engaging verbal sparring I've ever seen.
I'm talking about a matter of seconds. Nobody can be that accurate.
Well, I think testimony that could put a boy into the electric chair should be that accurate.
Their arguments get so heated that you actually feel the heat in the room. I'm just kidding. But the film does an excellent job in showing just how hot the room actually is. All the characters are sweating profusely, constantly wiping their foreheads, loosening their shirts. Yet another elegant cinematic touch that goes a long way in making the world feel alive. But back to the writing for a bit. One particular aspect that astounds me is how much we learn about the trial itself. Even though we spend the entirety of the film confined to a room after the trial has already taken place, we understand all the minute details of exactly what happened. Through the information conveyed by the film, we are able to form a mental picture of the crime so vivid, it's as if we were actually there. Honestly, I can talk about the writing in this film for hours, and it still won't be enough to explain just what makes it so special. It's that great. The acting is equally fantastic, across the board. There isn't a single bad performance. You get to really know the 12 characters as the film progresses, with each of them adding something integral to the story's dynamic. And while some of the jurors are more prominent than others, none of them feel expendable. They all bring something to the table, whether it be juror number 1, who takes responsibility in organizing the proceedings, juror number 7, who never skips an opportunity to remind everyone that there's a ball game he wants to get to, or juror number 12, who is obsessed with talking about himself all the time. All the jurors are memorable, and juror number 6, who is on paper the most forgettable of the bunch, is responsible for arguably the single most thought-provoking question the movie asks.
Supposing you talk us all out of this and, kid really did knife his father, huh?
But my personal favorite is actually one of the last jurors to be convinced by juror number 8, and that is juror number 4.
You've made some excellent points, but I still believe the boy is guilty of murder.
I love this guy. He's a true gentleman. Unlike the rest of the jurors, he almost never raises his voice, and you can tell he relishes discussion. He's a truth seeker. He always wants to get down to brass tacks. Not to mention, he's very intelligent and the best speaker in the room. His exchanges with juror number 8 are some of the highlights of the film for me.
I can't see 2 slaps in the face provoking him into committing murder.
It may have been too many. Everyone has a breaking point.
Though all 12 characters are great, the main conflict of the film is between juror number 8, who is the first to vote not guilty, and juror number 3, played by Lee J. Cobb, who is the most determined of them all to send the young man to the chair.
What's the matter with you guys? You all know he's guilty. He's got to burn. You're letting him slip through our fingers.
They constantly debate with one another, each one getting assistance from other jurors who align with them. Sometimes their fights even threaten to turn physical. Juror number 3 is the main antagonist of the film, because he simply can't shake away his own personal prejudice. Dealing with your own personal prejudice is a reoccurring theme in the film, and it's usually not very pleasant for the characters when they are faced with that.
I'd like to ask you something. You don't believe the boy's story. How come you believe the woman's? She's one of them, too, isn't she?
The film does an excellent job in showing the primary problem with prejudice, which is that prejudice serves as a veil that obscures the truth from you. It causes you to judge others not based on what they do, but rather based on what you believe is the reasoning behind what they do. That's the wrong way to look at the world, because more often than not, you'll make some pretty big mistakes in judgment. So, how do we tackle the issue of prejudice? We discuss. We talk with people who disagree with us. We do what juror number 4 does, which is get down to brass tacks. We actively search for the truth, not stick with what we want the truth to be. And that is why 12 Angry Men is important. The entire essence of the film is tackling personal prejudice through discussion. The film teaches us that it doesn't matter which side we're on in a debate, as long as we have a shared goal. Not finding out who is correct, but finding out what is correct. If you enter a debate and your goal is to win at all costs, the truth be damned, then we all lose. That, along with everything else, is why I believe we need this film, now more than ever. I usually don't give ratings in my reviews, but this is a perfect example of a 10 out of 10 movie for me. It's a masterpiece. It's one of my personal favorites, and I love it so much. With that being said, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't yet, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel, all that good stuff. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go and watch 12 Angry Men again. Have a good one!